I am Nadine Carty-Keynes, and thank you for joining us at the Nevis Emergency Operations Center, EOC, or Nevis, today, Thursday, 21st May 2020, for an update on the situation regarding the novel coronavirus, COVID-19, here on Nevis. I want to take this opportunity to welcome all our viewers and media houses that have joined us here virtually. All questions will be taken at the end after all the speakers would have presented. The Nevis COVID-19 briefings are aired on Mondays and Thursdays each week at 8 p.m. on Nevis Television, or you can check the viewings at the briefings, at YouTube and Facebook pages, Nevis Television, Nevis HPU, and NDMD, which is the Nevis Disaster Management. With us today, we have Mr. Lyndon David, Superintendent of Police, Nevis Division, Dr. Judy Nesbitt, Chair of the Nevis COVID-19 Task Force, Ms. Joella Queely, Retail Sales Coordinator, FLO, Ms. Roxanne Brooks, Vice President, St. Kitts and Nevis Red Cross, and Mr. Edson Elliott, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Human Resources. And finally, Mr. Brian Dyer, Nevis EOC Director. I'd now like to welcome Mr. Lyndon David, Superintendent of Police, to give his updates.
Thank you very much, Nadine. Good evening to everyone. I will first start with the stats that we have thus far. To date, we have conducted 701 patrols, 69 vehicle checkpoints, 21 arrests were made for breach of curfew, and 10 persons have since been charged. During the period, we have had 13 crimes committed, and 12 persons were arrested for those crimes. We have had 1,797 vehicles were stopped, and during those stops, we are realizing that the majority of the persons are essential workers, persons who are given permits for varying reasons from time to time. Thus far, we have also had 10 persons informed that they will be summoned for the various breaches that they have committed during this state of emergency and curfew. At this time, I want to encourage the businesses and the enterprises to continue to give priority to our seniors, disabled persons, and our essential workers. So we want to thank you for that. And businesses, we are saying to you, continue to comply with the compliance unit. We're realizing that some of you are not. And to avoid the $5,000 fine or your goods being forfeited, comply, comply, comply. We are seeing where many liquor license premises owners or operators are complying with the restrictions and guidance given. And we are saying to you, continue to do so. But we also know that there are pockets who are refusing and neglecting to comply with the restrictions and the guidance given. We are saying to you, avoid the penalties that are there within the regulations and comply. We expect that you will be good citizens and we want to comply. We are saying to you that also, once you open, people will come. Therefore, to you, the patrons, avoid encouraging these persons for licensed premises to sell your liquor. The time will come when it will be freed up. So we are saying during this period, let us ensure that we continue to comply. I am pleased to say that the majority of the persons on island, they are complying with the necessary restrictions and guidance as we see the gradual relaxation of these restrictions and guidance. So we are saying to you, continue to do so. In closing, I just want to thank God for his continued mercies on our federation. And I put it more so for our island of Nevis because we are seeing that we have no new cases, and that is good. We want to thank the federal and local governments for their contribution to everything that we have done so far, the staff of the Royal St. Kitts and Nevis Police Force here on island in Nevis, the medical staff, disaster staff, other essential workers, we are saying to you, continue to do good work and make yourselves and family proud, and the Federation as a whole. And to you, the citizens who continue to comply, do so, encourage each other to ensure that we do not have any new cases. And finally, to you, the violators, we are saying to you, it is time for you to join us to ensure that we do not have any new cases, so that what you want is what you will get. Relaxation and total elimination of the restrictions that are there. So, thank you very much, and do enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you, Superintendent David, for your update. I'd now like to welcome Dr. Judy Nesbitt, Chair of the Nevis COVID-19 Task Force, to give her updates.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening to everyone. On Nevis thus far, we have tested 124 persons, and we have received all test results. 120 persons tested negative, while 4 tested positive. There are no tests pending. This means then that we have no active cases. There's currently no one in quarantine, while 242 persons have been released from quarantine. We are happy where we are at this time as an island and as a country. We have successfully contained the virus. This has been done through finding, testing, and isolating the cases, and quarantining and testing contacts of confirmed cases. This has so far successfully broken transmission of the disease. As a result, many persons are using terms such as Nevis being COVID-free, and question why continue the current public health and social measures. I have to remind persons we are in the middle of a pandemic. That is, a worldwide outbreak of a new disease that many of us do not have immunity to. So it is much safer to say that we have no active cases at this time, and not to say that we are COVID-free. We can have a case tomorrow, we can have a case next week, we can have a case next month. I like the analogy of being in a hurricane. The first part of the hurricane may have passed, and we are now in the eye of the storm, the calm. Let us use this time to continue to practice and, in turn, perfect the behaviors that keep us safe. Behaviors such as social distancing, frequent hand washing, cough and sneeze etiquette, cleaning frequently touched surfaces, and wearing masks correctly at all times when in public spaces. This is not, and I repeat, this is not the time to stop taking these measures seriously. There's expected to be a second wave or even multiple waves. Historically, this is how pandemics have been behaving. And in the second wave, or in the other waves, we are expected to have even more cases than we have had so far. Therefore, let us remain vigilant and continue to prepare for the waves to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Judy Nesbitt, for your sound advice. I'd now like to welcome Ms. Joella Queely, Retail Sales Coordinator, Flo.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening, everyone. I come not to bring a brief, but to lend support to the tremendous work that has been carried out over the past few months since COVID-19 was identified to our shores. As we stand true to our motto, keeping you connected, we want to ensure that we continue to keep you connected and to be able to serve the people of Nevis and St. Kitts by extension as we work to ensure that the curve remains flat and eventually attain the status of a COVID-19 free country. Dr. Nesbitt, on behalf of our General Manager, Mr. David Lake, Directors, Management and staff of FLO, we present to you this new iPhone 11 as a token of our appreciation for the services that you continue to offer. May it serve you now and far beyond this pandemic.
I wish to sincerely thank the General Manager, Mr. David Lake, the Board of Directors, Management and staff of FLO for this generous donation of an iPhone 11. Being the communication giant that FLO is, the management and staff understands and appreciates the importance of having a reliable device and dependable service. In the climate we are in now, many of our meetings are held online, and this device will greatly facilitate information sharing. I am therefore deeply appreciative of this donation, which will lend support to me continuing my duties during the COVID-19 response. Ms. Quilly, kindly convey my sincere thanks to all. Thank you.
Medical University of the Americas MUA and Nevis Island Administration Scholarship Program announces that they are now ready to take applications. 2 MUA NIA scholarships will be awarded towards the pursuit of an undergraduate studies which leads to a degree at an accredited higher learning institution. Eligibility requirements: you must be at least 18 years of age. You must be a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis. You must have at least 5 CXC CSECT passes, including mathematics, English and 1 science subject. You must be active in community service, and you must be accepted by a qualifying school. Priority areas are health focused. For further information on the application process, please contact the Ministry of Health. Email min.health@niagov.com. Telephone number 469-5221, extension 6490 or 6491 or 6492. We are now ready to take applications on download from the NIA website.
Thank you, Ms. Quilly and Flo, and thank you, Dr. Nesbitt. I'd now like to welcome Mr. Brian Dyer, Nevis EOC Director, to give his updates.
Good evening all. The Nevis Disaster Management continues its preparatory actions with regards to getting the island ready for the 2020 hurricane season. We completed the formal inspection of our emergency shelters yesterday, thanks to the assistance of Mr. Marvin Hanley, engineer at the Physical Plan Department. And I would like to say a special thank you to the disaster management staff and also to the custodian of the keys and shelter managers who participated in the process. Continuing with some statistics from the COVID-19 task force, the compliance task force that has been inspecting facilities. They have to date completed 343 inspections, with the breakdown: bakeries and delis 5, banks and financial institutions 13, buses, taxis and ferries 13, game room 2, gas stations 7, government buildings and departments 60, market vendors 4, mechanic shops 10, offices 51, pharmacies 2, restaurant 12, salon and barber shops 19, shops 19, snack and bars 40, stores 55, street vendors 10, supermarkets 7, funeral home 1, gyms 2, car wash 3, wholesale 2, radio stations and communications 1, and manufacturing 3. Grand total 343. I would like to commend the task team as they continue to ensure that the efforts and the rules and regulations outlined in Statutory Rules and Order 16 is adhered to. Continue with the statistics from the Social Services Department. To date, the Social Services have assisted has distributed 404 vouchers or hampers. 97 persons has been assisted or have been assisted with lodging the Poverty Alleviation Program applications. And 50 sanitary care packages will be distributed next week to juveniles. And in concluding, I'd like to say a special thank you to Ms. Claudette Walwyn for providing lunch for the EOC staff today. And we do want to say we enjoyed it very much, and keep up the good works. And remember us as you continue to, as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dyer, for your updates. I'd now like to welcome Ms. Roxanne Brooks, Vice President of the St. Kitts Nevis Red Cross.
Good evening to all present and to those viewing and listening via the various media platforms. Due to the proactive measures, vigilance and hard work of the COVID task force on both St. Kitts and Nevis, our nation is currently without any active cases of COVID, and for this we should all be thankful. The Red Cross, however, recognizes that though the physical health of the population has been spared up to this point, COVID-19 remains a viable threat and has created, and as per the analysts, will continue to create psychological and socio-economic hardships for many persons around the world. And St. Kitts and Nevis is no exception. In this regard, the Red Cross continues to support the national effort through its food care packages to the most vulnerable within the communities we serve. Today, I am specifically here to publicly recognize and acknowledge the contributions of some of our partners who are making a tremendous effort and contributing in a significant way towards this effort. I wish to specifically recognize and acknowledge RAM's group of companies for their significant contribution of food and grocery supplies donated to the Red Cross for distribution throughout all 5 parishes of Nevis. We wish to specifically thank Mr. Manouche, the manager, along with his hard-working staff of the Nevis Rams supermarket and the Rams Cash and Carry outlet here on Nevis for this commendable donation, which will be used to bring relief to the homes of those most impacted by the economic drawback of COVID. We would also like to thank Mr. Stuart Jeffers of RS&J Enterprises for assisting the Red Cross in support of the Rams food and grocery donation. While here, we would also like to take this opportunity to thank the returning National Society of Nevis through their Vice President, Mistress Ruth Powell, for the financial contribution to the Red Cross in aid of COVID relief to those most impacted. The Red Cross role as auxiliary to state in responding to any disaster, be it natural such as hurricanes, or health disasters such as the current COVID pandemic, operates within the country it serves National Response Framework and the Disaster Mitigation Council, and assistance is provided to the most vulnerable in keeping with the movement's leading principles of neutrality and impartiality while ensuring and preserving human dignity. We would like to educate the public, therefore, that the criteria for the ongoing distribution of food packages over the coming months and other relief efforts will therefore be maintained by these guiding principles. We will be working and have been working in collaboration with social and community services and in coordination with other partners and public health authorities. On behalf of our beneficiaries and the people we serve, and the volunteers of the branch, we wish to thank Mr. Manouche, the manager of Rams Cash and Carry, the returning nationals of Nevis, the Royal Bank of Canada, and Mr. Patrick and Caroline Hellman, who have all made significant contributions towards the economic impact of COVID. In closing, on behalf of the Red Cross, I wish to thank and acknowledge the hard work of Dr. Trudy Nesbitt, chair of the task force, and her entire team in the successful endeavors that have been undertaken, which has enabled no active COVID cases at this time. I ask that we continue to adhere to the guidelines issued by public health authorities and to hold our decision makers accountable in an effort to maintain the state of near COVID-freeness. Most importantly, we must remain individually responsible as a person, as families, as a country. It's each person's individual responsibility to ensure we all do our part to keep our country, our island, and our nation free of COVID.
Thank you very much, Ms. Roxanne Brooks. And our final speaker will be Mr. Edson Elliott, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Human Resources.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Keynes. And with all protocols already established, I would like to say good evening to all those listening and viewing. The Ministry of Human Resources is indeed very thankful for this invitation to be a part of the Nevis EOC briefing. I would speak briefly about the changes in the public service resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic. Firstly, the public service has been back out in full operation since the lockdown, effective the 11th of May, 2020. We have asked our public servants to A, wear a mask, practice physical distancing, exercise proper hand washing with soap regularly, to sanitize counters and surfaces with an alcohol-based sanitizer as often as possible, all because of the guidance of the Nevis EOC. On the week of May 5th to the 11th, 2020, permanent secretaries, heads of department, and senior public servants were out assessing their physical spaces and making plans to have their offices and officers at least 6 feet apart. In spaces where this was not physically possible, a shift system was introduced. The whole idea was to prevent the spread of the virus and ultimately save lives. We also saw changes as to how to accommodate the general public, our clients. Some offices are now restricting the number of clients entering the building at one time. There were signs directing the patrons to wear masks and stations within the building with hand sanitizers. Officers are also encouraging our clients to use the telephone so that their matter may be addressed in advance, thus reducing their time spent in the office. All in all, the COVID-19 pandemic has caused us to look at new ways of doing business. I must say that some of these ways adopted have resulted in a more efficient system. The public service is therefore encouraged to continue to play their role in reducing or even stopping the spread of the COVID-19 virus. At this point in time, I therefore applaud all public servants in their effort towards reducing or stopping the spread of the virus. And I mention in particular our public servants on the front line. Additionally, the Nevis Island Administration has announced its Nevis, its NIA COVID-19 special financial aid to overseas students. And I read the announcement. In view of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Ministry of Human Resources, the Nevis Island Administration, wishes to announce the availability of the COVID-19 special financial aid. This assistance will be provided to overseas students who are A, citizens or residents residing in Nevis, presently studying abroad, and have not been able to return to the Federation due to the pandemic, the closing of the borders, etc. Not on a full-time scholarship, and D, in dire need, that is, find themselves in a financially vulnerable position as a result of the pandemic. The Nevis Island Administration understands the financial impact of the COVID-19 has had on our students and their families, and we are committed to helping our students minimize the impact where possible. This will be in the form of a disbursement of 1,000 EC per month for the months of May, June, and July in the first instance. So for any further assistance and retrieval of the application form, persons are asked to kindly contact the Ministry of Human Resources at the building there at Penny's Industrial Site. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott, for your presentation. I'd now like to open up for questions and answer from our media houses and our presenters. Shamika Budgeon of Von Radio. Dr. Nesbitt, along with Dr. Laws and Dr. Wilkerson, have explained time after time the importance of wearing masks throughout a number of briefings. What are the compliance task force, along with the police security, doing, as I'm realizing that lots of people are still not adhering to the wearing of masks? There are lots of people walking or conversing in Charlestown without a mask currently. What is being done about this?
Thank you very much. As mentioned earlier in my stats, we have made arrests and persons were summoned for varying breaches of the curfew and state of emergency protocols. However, we are saying to members of the public that once you have seen an offense being committed, call the police, inform, and we will go to that location and assess the situation and take the appropriate action at the time as we meet things are unfolding. So if you see that, you can be anonymous and make that phone call so that we can address it. But yes, we will continue to enforce the regulations regarding the state of emergency and curfew. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Superintendent David. Shamika Budgeon of Von Radio. It was mentioned by Premier of Nevis on Sunday that a number of masks and hand sanitizers were distributed in the parish of St. Paul's a few days ago. Can you provide a report as to when distribution will continue to the remaining parishes here on Nevis?
Good afternoon. Thank you for that question. I can confirm that the distribution of masks was completed for the parish of St. Paul's on last weekend. This weekend we continue the distribution to the parishes, to the parish of St. Thomas. That is, the parish of St. Thomas will receive their mass on Saturday and Sunday of this week. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dyer. Question from Vaughan Radio, Shamika Bajin. The Vaughan Newsline has received unconfirmed reports of bookings that are currently being made at some of our hotels here on Nevis for next month. Are there plans to reopen the ports in June? Could you shed some light on this?
Thank you, Shamika, for that question. The hotel industry, the tourism industry, continues to work, and one of the things that we know that happens is that bookings are continually being made. However, a decision has not been made as to when the ports will reopen. However, hotels will continue to make bookings, airlines will continue to make bookings in anticipation of the ports being opened. However, there has not been any announcement of the opening of the ports of St. Kitts and Nevis as yet.
All right, I'd like to thank all our presenters and thank our media houses for joining us here this evening and you, the viewers. Please remember to follow the instructions given under the state of emergency and to protect yourselves and others by washing your hands often with soap and water. Cover your cough and sneeze. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth with unclean hands. Disinfect touch areas and surfaces often. Eat vegetable fruits, drink plenty of water, and exercise often. Continue to practice physical distancing and stay at home if you don't need to move about. You're reminded of the hotline numbers 311 or 661-5051. Please remember to sign up for the Nevis Health app at kn.unhin.org. Additional thank yous to the Nevis Disaster Management, Nevis Television, Caribbean Digital Display Limited, Cornerstone, and Task Force members for making these briefings possible. I am Nadine Carty-Keynes, and please join us again on Monday, 25th of May at 8 p.m. for another Nevis COVID-19 EOC briefing on Nevis Television. Thank you for viewing, and please stay safe.